happening, y'all, and welcome into houseofsparky.com for episode 2 of our football show. I'm Blaine McCormick, he's Troy Lynch. This is a highlight of the week for me. And Troy, I heard you got some highlights of your own.
Yeah, Arizona State, San Diego State, a lot of highlights. So let's get right down to it. The Sun Devils honoring Frank Kush against San Diego State on Saturday with those sweet sunburst helmets. Pick things up in the first quarter. Blaine, have you ever seen the sequel to Forrest Gump?
Was there one, Troy?
Yeah, there was one last Saturday because Rashad Penny was like Forrest Gump. Run, Penny, run! 95 yards to the house, puts the Aztecs up early 7-0. But ball on the 1 yard line, Arizona State gave it to Balaja, works every single time. He's able to tie things up. That's his third touchdown of the season. But the following kickoff, there's that man again, Penny, untouched. Unbelievable. 99 yards. Who needs Donnell Pumphrey when you have this guy? And then he puts the Aztecs up 14-7 beginning the second quarter. But the Sun Devils, they're not ready to quit. Manny Wilkins to N'Keal Harry, 5 yards. That's his first touchdown of the season for the sophomore. And they keep it interesting, only down by 3, 17-14. In the third quarter, here's what Chapman's thinking. Where's Penny? Where's Penny? Where's Penny? Found him. Penny able to catch it, puts the moves on one of ASU defenders, and goes 33 yards for his third touchdown of the game. 353 total all-purpose yards for the man, and the Aztecs beat the Sun Devils 30-20 in Tempe. And to break down the loss against San Diego State University, we bring in House of Sparky's best and brightest, Max Madden. Thanks so much for joining us, but let's get right down to it. A 10-point loss for the Sun Devils. They battled the entire time. They never had the lead, but it seemed like they gave away big plays at big moments, especially with Rashad Penny.
Well, that was a huge trend last season, Troy. You're right, and it's crept its way into this season. We've seen a lot of big plays. We saw the misplay from John Humphrey coming back to kill him, and then also the huge run from Rashad Penny, and then the kickoff return from Rashad Penny. Had just an incredible night. So they really need to back off a little bit on defense and play more of a cover 3 type scheme where they let plays develop in front of them so nothing goes over the top, and you just got to make those tackles in the middle. Yeah,
those tackles in the middle always been killing them, especially last year. But for the offense, it seemed like they could never really get the ball rolling, and it was tough. The offensive line struggled. Again, they gave up 5 sacks, and Kaylin Balaji didn't have very many rushing yards. Where is this identity for this offense right now?
Well, you're definitely right. They need to get some production from that offensive line, even if it's just buying a few seconds for Manny Wilkins. If they can do that, they can open up the play action. They can get some balls deep down the field for N'Keal Harry and John Humphrey, as long as he comes back from his injury. And then they can actually run the ball, which should be one of their strengths.
Right. I mean, there was a strength last year. Kaylin Balaji still, he has 3 touchdowns, but we haven't seen his full potential. But if you're a Sun Devil fan right now, 1-1 on the season, still very early, is hope lost?
Well, there's a ton of negativity, Troy,
right.
And I think it's really difficult to overcome that, especially with Todd Graham on the hot seat right now. But there's a long season ahead of them. The entire conference slate is still ahead of them. There's 10 more games, so they really, really should buckle down and focus.
So Sun Devil fans, they shouldn't be too worried?
No, I don't think so. There's a lot of football left.
Tough schedule for the Sun Devils, but we'll see what they have in store. But Max, thank you so much for joining us here today. And if you want to catch more of his work, go to houseofsparky.com, and we'll have a Texas Tech preview later on this show.
It's no easy task to replace the best kicker in college football. So you solve that task by recruiting the #1 kicking prospect in Arizona and the Chris Saylor Place Kicker of the Year winner. I caught up with Brandon Ruiz earlier in the week to talk about what it means to be a Sun Devil. Well, welcome into houseofsparky.com. We have place kicker Brandon Ruiz with us today. Brandon, thanks for being here for the interview. I want to talk to you about what it's like to go out there at Sun Devil Stadium and kick for your first time. You made a 52-yard field goal in the first game. What was it like to go out there and kick for the very first time?
My first one was actually a 56 right before the half. Going into the game, I was pretty nervous, and my mom understood that. She came to the hotel the night before because I forgot my headphones, and she talked to me. She's like, don't worry about the long field goals, just like the 40s and 30s, make consistent through those. And then turned out in the game, I only kicked 50s. So, but after the first one, I definitely settled down a little bit, and then the 52 felt much more smooth, and so I made that one, and then I haven't any since. So.
Is it different in those kind of situations because you know that you're not comfortable, or you know that you're not in the 40s or the 30-yarders, but when you get to those 50s, what's the mentality going into it?
For me, it's just the same kick, you need to hit it the same way, and it's just a little bit more smooth. like even in the warm-ups, Coach Slocum talks to me about just if it's windy, a smooth ball gets through the wind better. So just be smooth through it, and then it's all about the process. And if the process is right, then the result will be good.
So in your short tenure here at Arizona State, you had to replace Zane Gonzalez, one of the best kickers in the country last year, got drafted by the Cleveland Browns. What's it like going into those footsteps as a freshman?
Coach Slocum definitely has high expectations of me. He expects me to do pretty much the same thing Zane does. He doesn't expect to see a drop-off, anything like that. Just, I got to go out there and perform every day.
Now, you were very highly touted coming into Arizona State, too, rated the #1 kicker in the country by multiple sources. What's it like to have those kind of honors and to have that kind of mentality going into Arizona State? Hey, I know I can do this.
It helps definitely with my confidence, going here, especially being a true freshman. People don't really know who I am on the team. If they don't, then, I hope I can go out there and show them. And then, some people already know me, so, I was friends with them right away. Just kind of helped through the whole transition.
Now, when you were in high school, you were also a soccer player, correct?
Yes.
What position were you?
I was a forward.
Okay. And how does that help you in your kicking here in a football game?
Definitely. I'd always be able to kick it pretty far. I took goal kicks, corner kicks, and all that stuff. And I had a strong leg. That's why I scored a lot of goals, because I would just kick as hard as I can at the goalie. But also this kind of, for me, it changes, if I have to make a tackle or something. I also played defense a little bit in middle school, so I figured a way how to line them up so I can slow them down, or kind of just if they have a soccer ball, it's just holding the ball now, and I kind of just transition it into that.
With your defensive mentality that you've gained from soccer, does that help when you're on special teams, and if somebody is coming at you, you can tackle them?
They're not exactly tackle, but I can definitely slow them down at least, or at least push them a certain way so someone else can come make the tackle and just hopefully to go down.
And last question for you, then I'll send you on your way. What's the biggest goal that you have for your freshman season? Because you've already made that 52-yarder. That's something that a lot of freshman kickers can't say. What's the next step?
Just make everything else. If I have another long one, it'd be great. My mom told me this. I want to get a long one, because it looks good. So I make the long one. I got it out of the way already. So now I'm just going to focus down and really work on the close ones and just help us win games.
You mentioned your mom a lot in this interview. How much does she mean to you?
She means the world to me. She put me here. She sacrificed a lot to get me here, and she pushed me every day in high school. Every day we would go kicking. She'd be the one shagging for me. So she means a lot.
Well, that's awesome, Brandon. It was great talking with you today. Good luck on the field as the Arizona State Sun Devils take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders in Lubbock. For Brandon, I'm Blaine McCormick. We'll see you next time. Now, we've seen a lot about ASU football, but what's been going on throughout the Pac-12? Our football analyst Josiah Destin has everything you need to know about what happened in the weekend. Josiah.
Thanks, Blaine. The highlight of Week 2 in Pac-12 football was surely USC's 42-24 win over Stanford, beating the Cardinal for the first time in 4 seasons. But this week, newly ranked number 25 UCLA will travel out of the City of Angels to Memphis, making room for number 5 USC to host Texas in a rematch of the 2006 Rose Bowl. Last time these two faced off, Vince Young danced into the end zone for a game winner, as Reggie Bush fled to the NFL draft as the second overall pick. Also noteworthy is number 19 Stanford against San Diego State and its high-powered running offense. USC ran for 307 yards against the Cardinal last Saturday. Will Stanford fare better than the Sun Devils against Rashad Penny? We shall see. I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Josiah. Now moving on from the Pac-12 to the Big 12, where the Sun Devils have to play Texas Tech in Lubbock this weekend. We bring on Kaylin Jones, a writer for Sun Devil Source, to talk more about this game. Kaylin, first of all, thanks so much for being here. I want to get down right to it. This is a contrasting style of play that Texas Tech has. They're an air raid team, while the Aztecs last weekend were more of a rush-heavy team with Rashad Penny, and deservingly so. Right. How does the defense of the Sun Devils combat the air raid offense of the Red Raiders?
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Blaine, because so far through the first couple of games, ASU played more of a spread attack when they played New Mexico State. Second game, they go against a ground and pound offense when they play San Diego State. So this is really going to be the first test for ASU's secondary, which features 3 first-year starters in Desmond Tautolotasi at safety, Chad Adams, who's been a veteran, but also Joey Bryant and Kobe Williams, who are first-year starters at cornerback. This is going to be a really tough test going up against one of the more successful air raid offenses within the entire nation. Last year, Texas Tech was one of the most effective passing offenses in the country. So this is really going to be a big test for the secondary to see whether or not they've actually improved. Because through the first couple games, they've shown hints that they've improved from that horrific season last year, but this is actually going to be their real first test. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, Arizona State played Texas Tech last year. They came to Tempe, but they had Patrick Mahomes at the helm of quarterback last season. Now they have Nick Shimonek, a redshirt junior and a transfer from Iowa, like we mentioned. How does Shimonek really fit in this Red Raider offense, and how does ASU combat him?
Well, it'll be a different style of attack. If you look at what Patrick Mahomes was able to do, he was a master at extending plays. That's why he got a lot of comparisons to Aaron Rodgers coming out of the heading into the NFL. But what Patrick Mahomes offered in athleticism, I think you're going to see Nick Shimonek show an efficiency from within the pocket. He's, a 6'4", 205-pound transfer, as you mentioned, from Iowa. They expect him to play within the system. And again, when you look at what ASU's secondary presents in first-year starters, I think they're going to attack and really go after a lot of these different players. And we've yet to see ASU tap into its secondary depth when you talk about Chase Lucas and other players who will have to defend against Texas Tech's more pass-heavy attack and offense when they feature 5 receiver sets and more multiple looks. ASU hasn't really varied against its base defense, which only features 2 cornerbacks and 2 safeties out in the field. This is going to be their first real test, as we mentioned before.
Now, this is a real test for Todd Graham, too. Fans have already been critical of him this season, losing to San Diego State and making a close game out of the New Mexico State one in to open up the season. Is this game critical to Todd Graham's career and his career alone?
It's definitely a must-win matchup. When you look at ASU over its past 8 games, including the win over New Mexico State, they're 1-7. They needed a win in this matchup because they won't be favored over the next 7 matchups against teams from the Pac-12 who are all ranked in the top 30. So this is absolutely must-win for Todd Graham. Whether or not this will be the game where the fate of his tenure at ASU will be decided. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that, but this is absolutely a must-win matchup for the Sun Devils.
Well, we'll see what adjustments are made as the Arizona State Sun Devils head over to Lubbock, Texas to face the Red Raiders in Texas Tech. Kaylin, thanks again so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If you're a Cardinals fan, you're probably sad about running back David Johnson having to sit out for 2 to 3 months because of a dislocated wrist. But if you're an Arizona sports fan, I bet you're happy to hear that former Sun Devil and Saguaro High School alum DJ Foster is coming back to his home state to play professional football. Foster signed with the New England Patriots in 2016 as an undrafted free agent and was on the practice squad when they won a Super Bowl. But since Johnson is out, the Cardinals added Foster as one of their 5 running backs to help out. Foster broke records during high school. He became one of 5 players in college football history to ever rush and receive for 2,000 yards, and now he's back in Arizona to put another stamp on his football legacy. And that is why DJ Foster is our feel-good story of the week. Well, I don't know about you, Blaine, but I'm feeling pretty good after that story, and I'm ready to have some fun. You ready to have some fun?
Let's do it.
Good, because we have a brand new segment. It's called Pick Your Poster. So basically what happened at the last game against San Diego State, Blaine and I picked out our favorite poster that we saw in the stands, and now we're ready to show you. We tweeted about it, and you guys picked which one your favorite is. So, Blaine, you have the first one.
All right. So, Troy, I got to ask you, have you ever seen Anchorman?
Of course. I love that movie.
So, the movie is based in San Diego, hence them playing San Diego State. Ooh. This creative fan decided to incorporate a little Ron Burgundy into his artistic ability.
That's genius. That's so good.
But instead of the expletive, he replaced it with fork, hence the tie to Arizona State. So, overall, this is a pretty punny poster, if you will.
They kept it G. That's good.
Kept it G, kept it family friendly. Also included the Sunburst logo, if you notice right there.
Oh, wow.
A little fuzzy.
Sentimental effect and comedic effect. That's good.
Exactly.
That's good. All right, before we get to our other poster, I have one question for you.
Go for it.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I do. I've been dating her for a year now.
Wow, good for you. Give a round of applause for this one. But if we go to this next poster, this guy definitely does it. No idea who this guy is, but he's single and he's ready to mingle, ladies. So hit him up. This guy got onto the Jumbotron and everybody clapped for him. Has nothing to do with football. Has nothing to do with Arizona State. It's just funny. So whoever you are, single man, you are actually our winner for Pick Your Poster, the first one. So congratulations. Hope you got a date but you definitely got a win. So that's pretty good.
If he didn't get a date, he should definitely make this his Tinder profile picture.
That would be genius. He'd probably get so many swipes to the either left or right. Something good.
I'm not sure how that works, but
I don't
you know what
either.
does work?
What?
Highlights. We love highlights on this show, so let's get to some Pac-12 highlights of the week. First Pac-12 highlight comes via Colorado versus Texas State, and here is Bryce Bobo with the catch. Whoa!
Huh?
That's a one-handed catch, Troy.
I don't believe it.
Oh, you better believe it. Bryce Bobo from Colorado. You go, Bobo. Amazing catch.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But Sam Darnold against Stanford. Bad weekend last week, but then he remembers, I'm Sam Darnold, and that's Deontay Burnett. A diving catch into the end zone. Kids dream about that, and he lived it. USC went on to beat Stanford 42-24.
Now, speaking of dreams, this is a dream for the Washington Huskies to have a punt returner like this. Dante Pettis, his 7th career punt return that was 60-plus yards, and he's just dodging tackles left and right. 1, 2, 3. Troy, I lost count.
Not good at math.
Not good at math, but what he is good at is returning punts. Breaks the Pac-12 record. What an amazing day for him. Huskies win this one big. What a weekend for the Pac-12. Highlights galore, and those were only 3 of many highlights that we saw this weekend.
Yeah, the Pac-12 did real well. They weren't able to stay undefeated, but they did do well. And then only one more week until Pac-12 play starts.
Let's go.
So that's something to look forward to. But unfortunately, now we have to go. You see what I did?
I like it. I like it.
We have to go. That's the end of our time. He's Blaine McCormick. I'm Troy Lynch. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want more House of Sparky content, make sure you go to our website or follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You know the drill. But thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Saturday.